Welcome, everyone. Today, I want to tell you a story of my friend. I was talking to her 2 days ago about the pandemic. How can you facilitate your things after the pandemic? She said, "Oh my God, Jana, it's the best thing happened is that COVID." I was like, wow, why is she so excited? And for the first time, I hear something like that. To take something like this in a positive way, you mean it's nice to have a pandemic? What do you mean? Can you explain to me? Can you explain to me how the pandemic can be positive? We had more kids during pandemic. Okay, I was like, this is really nice. Every person can look at things in a different angle from their personal angles. And she wasn't talking about it that as we have lost a lot of people during the pandemic. There is a joy in this. There is you could feel that she's really happy, and I was like, congratulations. Of course, nice. Okay, nice years. I became a mom during these years, and she was so enthusiastic. I was thinking, okay, yes, my friend is talking about COVID with like Isaac Newton, for instance, in 1665, uh, when we had the Black Death, uh, he isolated and quarantined himself, and he came with the calculus. Before that, we never had, before that pandemic in 16th century, we never had this kind of science. People can utilize pandemics in joy and productivity. I hope we are all with this kind of positivity, and we receive or we look at the COVID with this kind of outlook. So I started researching on the internet. I was like, today I will be meeting a lot of people, and we will be talking how did we get affected emotionally and mentally, especially the youth, the youngsters. Welcome everyone to the second session of the uh, last day of the Youth Knowledge Forum. This session with the title of Out of the Pandemic into the Virtual World. I'm really glad and honored to have Dr. Jana Bou Reslan, who is a lecturer and motivational speaker. Dr. Jana works with teachers in schools in UAE and the area, as well as teaching psychology in universities. And she's also a trainer for many centers and companies. And she's also the ambassador of mental health. And she's also a content writer and maker on social media. And she is providing a lot of entertaining and objective messages about mental health on social media. Our topic today will be about the challenges that we have faced during the pandemic on mental health and the relation between mental and physical health. How does the mental health affected physical health? And if we have comprehensive mental health services and how to ensure it's available. And also we will discuss how to have interventions that focusing on the youth or the health of youngsters. Uh, before starting with this session today, I would like to remind you that translation is available to French and English. Everything, all what you have to do is you have to click on the globe icon on the bottom, which is for the interpretation, and choose the language that you prefer to hear. In order to hear in a better way, you can just mute the original audio to make sure you hear the translators. I know you have questions, and you will have a lot of questions, and we already started receiving questions before the session started even. But if you have any, please make sure to use the Q&A, which is a dedicated feature for the questions. And maybe you may ask technical questions as well, and the team will be able to accommodate your questions immediately. I would like to welcome all the audience on Zoom and all the other platforms of social media. I would like also to welcome the world and welcome the audience who are waiting on the lobby to join the session so you can maybe interact with us. Stephanie, thank you so much for this amazing introduction. And from on my behalf, I would like to thank all the attendees. And I want to resume and come back and say that after talking to my friend in a positive way about the phase of COVID, and she never mentioned anything positive, negative about how she's been affected or any of her family. She's happy. But if we have scientists who came with calculus, it's a field which was developed. If without Newton, we wouldn't have this today, or it wouldn't been developed today. So people created families and been happy. So what was said by what we call him Uncle Google, a different story completely. It could be a different story from what was said by my friend, or the motivation we get or the inspiration we get from Newton. We can see that there are a lot of challenges. You can see this was a crisis, a global crisis. We all got affected. Our personalities got affected. Our mentality got affected. The way we think, we were socialists, and we are not anymore. We were more social than now, and it started talking about the teens and how they are affected. The researchers are following all of that. We know that the teenager will have this kind of spring. We call it the spring, where they have this kind of sensitivity with their family. Imagine they're quarantined with their families and how much violence might happen, and insults or stuff like that internally. Google says something completely different. I started digging more and looking more into details, and I can see that that kind of spread made people more isolated, and we had no social activities, and they were affected with anxiety, with depression, with the. I chose one of the studies, which is from Harvard University, which talks in total or in general in the US that the mental health for the age category of teenagers and the youth, the mental health was affected negatively. Let's look more in details. I'm zooming in with you, and it says that the problem from the beginning was there are no readiness for the mental health, and accordingly the children and teenagers were affected because the system is missing. It's missing any kind of readiness. When we have something globally is something, a pandemic is something global. So therefore, once we looked more, we needed to focus what we need to do. The focus must be on the care previously, prior to any pandemic. So by preventing, before getting into pandemic or any crisis, we need to be prepared how to intervene, how to solve the issue in order to be ready and to ensure the mental and physical health is maintained for people. If we think further, what is the connection between my mental health and physical health? They always say that we have sayings that the healthy body is based on the healthy brain. This is one of the Arabic says, or public speaking, talking in front of people They say something for the public speaking, fake it till you make it. You need to make yourself as you're comfortable. You need to set, because your body doesn't know if you smiled, is this smile is genuine or not. So you will have the dopamine and the hormone starts pumping in your body. And because I'm sitting in the right position and I'm showing that I'm not comfortable or not confident. So at the beginning, my body affects my psychology and psychological aspect. So mentally, I get affected from my posture, from my smile, for my brain. It's the same. So I can manage myself. Here in this example, we're not managing myself. We need to manage the community around us. So people are activists, are active in the society, and therefore lots of studies discuss and talks discusses that the more you do sports at least twice or three times a week, you can reduce your level of stress. I know there are a lot of people and lots of you says that when I go to the gym, I feel less stressed. I can hear someone sometimes people says we go to the gym to feel better, to feel less stress, to relieve the stress. So therefore we choose any sport that suits us, and uh, based on that we do it to de-stress ourselves. Lots of famous people on social media and other platforms, I like to call to mention them because they do some kind of edutainment, because education, I came from a very long journey of higher education from me personally. Education is not about the locations where we are. We are hundreds and thousands listening to each other, and now we will discuss with each other at the end. If it's Nicole Lepera or Dr. Mattei, these people talks about if you are in a pandemic or after pandemic, you need to maintain yourself. You need to be prepared before having any kind of shock that will prevent you. There is a book called The Myth of Normal, which says that you need to do any kind of movement, yoga or yoga meditation and breathing, the training of breathing. Even Russell Brand, who I really loves, who got a very long journey of in media, and he got his own experience with being alcoholic, and he says that I do jiu-jitsu and breath work. So why am I sharing this? These people really affected, really influenced, and they say that this pandemic that must be controlled. We must control it. Yes, we live our emotions. Yes, it affected us, and I hope everyone sees the pandemic as it was seen by my friend or by Newton, so the people can get the benefit out of it. But if we want to talk in reality now, and if we want to talk in countries level, we need to look into how we build a comprehensive system in all sectors, in hotels, in stores, in cars sectors, in schools, in construction. So how can we have a team who are ready to support the people who works within the environment, or the employees, or the customers, or the service providers? All of these things we need to consider, as well as the genders. We cannot say that women only cares about mental health. We all should care about mental health, because we are all humans, also based on the age category. People would say this kid is only 2 years old. How did he affected? Yes, he was affected. We have something called the COVID babies or the pandemic babies. The senior citizens and the elderly people as well got affected. So today, what we are saying is about the youth, but not the youth only, not the teenagers. We're talking about all kind of age categories. I will suggest today to talk about what is self-worth? What is my self-worth? If we talk about schools, the youth, which Google discussed to us about them a lot, who were insulted, who got sensitive, became stressed, we have something called responsive schools, because this school, meaning the school will be ready to deal with all kind of symptoms like PTSD, depression and anxiety, ADHD, or all of these together, or the ADE, which are all learning difficulties such as the ADHD. So, and the list goes on. We cannot stop counting the type of symptoms and the post trauma or this kind of effects. If we have schools with readiness, why can't we increase this kind of schools? So how can we care to have prevention before it happens? As they say, prevention is better than cure. This is another saying in English. So again, the SEL, when we talk about learning, special education and learning, if we talk about SEL, uh, how can we teach the students to be in the community? So how can we ensure they get into communities? We cannot say they got isolated and that's it. Especially in the United States, they make something called the COVID pod, which I will tell you in brief. It's an educational pod. We are in quarantine. We cannot go out. But that doesn't mean that the children will be isolated emotionally and socially. They need to be hugged. They need to be, and therefore they did small classrooms, each category with each other. And as it said here, that the need is the source of inventions. I don't want my son or my girl to be affected. It's more of between homeschooling and the school. They won't send them to schools and they won't be quarantined and locked down completely. So when we talk about, if we go back and we look into the self-worth and heal myself, I need to look into my needs, my motivations, my emotions, my uh, senses, all of these together we need to look at. I will not expect myself to be a perfectionist. I will not be perfect in everything I do. I need to look always on the top, or otherwise I will have no self-worth. Why am I talking about this to you? Because how COVID exposed real issues and the real problems we have prior and post-COVID. And the second part, if you need to increase your self-worth, forget about perfection. To be a complete person or perfect person, this is something you need to forget. You cannot expect to be a perfectionist. You cannot expect to be perfect always and to have the best performance always. You need to feel you're weak. You can feel your weakness. You can feel your vulnerability sometimes. It's fine. You're a human. When it comes to the business, some people did not know how to deal with it, and things got overcrowded and they became very busy, and companies became very happy that these people are sitting at home. They're working. There is more productivity. We've seen a lot of reports from the big five, and it says that the productivity really got increased, and this caused to a certain level that some of the decisions, we can let people work a little bit. We are making profit even if they are sitting at home, because we're all profit organizations. But again, as an individual, I need to start and work by myself. And I need to tell myself I don't need to be perfect always, and I don't need to be overworked or overwhelmed, because this kind of being very busy will prevent me from communicating with myself. I felt very stressed in this way, because if if you cannot sit with the emotions, which means living your emotions, the emotion stays for 90 seconds in your body. Do I need to fight with my emotions and being busy all the time and say, oh, friends, relations, and so on? We hear a lot that boys and girls and lots of people met each other during the pandemic, but the idea is not to escape from my emotions because I want to be perfectionist and I keep on doing and doing and doing and to be being. And this is something that we need to look at. We need to have this kind of balance. We need to interact with our emotions. Sometimes you may have just a cup of tea and use the swing in your garden, and you can say, I'm busy. Relaxing means busy. You're being yourself. You're being honest with your emotions. You're increasing your self-worth. You need to look at these things. I got somewhere where I looked and today we're talking about the systems and how the devices can be improved. We're talking about organizations around the world for the mental health. We're talking about education and schools. But the person who got affected the least, we're not talking about special cases. We're not talking about the people with disorders or mental disorders. We're talking about the normal individuals. Who was the least who got affected? Who are the people who are not taking their self-confidence and self-worth from their work or from their titles or from their look or from their social relationships. They can be themselves. They are the one who can. I want to go back to the story of my friend. She started talking about the pandemic in a very amazing and positive way, not because she had babies, because she can be, because I know her personality. I know that this person is well aware about what is self-worth, and she managed to adapt. And this is my invitation to all of you. In order to have this kind of immunity system within your body, you need to always look to increase your self-worth. How to do? How? The pandemic came and it reminds us that the key here is my self-worth because I'm a human. I deserve to live. I respect my emotions. I respect my body. I respect my thinking, not because is doing that or her friend did that or not because of anyone. This is not related. This is more of self-esteem from the outside. The people who were counting on self-esteem were a lot, but it shows how they got affected because it shows that they have very high self-esteem and themselves. They have real estates and houses and companies, and they're influencers and fashionista, and they're beautiful, and they have and etc 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 from the things and resources around them and in their life, what they work, what they do. But these people themselves never noticed about the self-worth. COVID came. And sometimes we say, thank God we had the COVID, so it can make us aware how to be connected with myself, regardless of what I wear and what I do and how I look or how I speak, regardless of my skills or the languages I speak, and regardless of many things. Today, if I'm not asking myself what is my self-worth, where is my self-worth in the measures? Is it in the top? If I know it is, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to take a decision and say, this is something I don't need to do and I need to stop it? What do I dare to dream? I dare to do, I dare, what will I have the courage to do? So what will I achieve? These are very, these things are very massive when it comes to the self-worth. It starts from the self-worth during and prior and after the pandemic. What are the benefits in this way? Number one, you will be able, and you had many crises in front of you because of your self-worth. You will find means and ways to solve problems. You may get stressed, you may get upset, but you will not be violent. You will say, whatever happens around you outside, you will still have internal peace. It's not like being emotionless. It's not like being heartless, but I'm talking about, we're not talking about being a spiritual bypass, that you're meditating and being with yourself. Yes, but these people understand the meditation and yoga completely wrong, because it was showed a lot during the pandemic. And bypass, what does it say? Because I want to be a very peaceful person, I will not live my emotions. No, the real peace is not to lie to yourself or betray yourself. The peace is to live your emotions, but not to be violent and not affecting others, not hurting others. You need to know how to communicate because your self-worth is high already. And during the pandemic or outside the pandemic. Now, if I wanna talk about the steps or what the outcomes, what are the outcomes or the four takeaways that you can take from this session? I thought the best way is to have them in steps, and people love steps. Let us have the ways. I hope we have discussion after that. And what could be your experience? If I need to increase my self-worth and reinforce it, especially now I'm talking to the youth, I need first to start forgetting myself. I cannot have I cannot have a self-worth and at the same time I keep in blaming myself and follow the self-beating. I cannot keep in blaming myself about everything. Yes, I got upset. I need to acknowledge. I need to acknowledge and to get to a level where we reach to the second step, which is, I would say, after the COVID, people became obese, maybe other people got benefits in a different way. I need to accept all the changes that happened to me, positive and negative changes. And people who had, people who lived outside and they were in lockdown, we know that airports stopped and lots of the youth did not manage to go back to their countries. I need to accept what happened to me. If I kept rejecting it, I'm fighting it. And this takes us back to the emotions. Each emotion is only 90 seconds. If I, as we call it, you spill the oil on the fire, or you just accept it. I cannot change it, so I'll accept it simply in order to be able to accept it. There are many ways, like writing down and stuff like that. I need to talk myself as Jenna. You should have done that. You should have done that, or you should have said so. Focus on what you like instead of keeping saying instead of or you should have or you should be. Pandemic is not something that happens always. It's not very easy what we have experienced. Keep remembering that. Sometimes we exaggerate and we think, and in 2017, for the report of the UN, it says that there are more than 71 million displaced person who had to leave his or her house? What about these displaced people who did not have the physical basic needs of heat or warmth, all of these nice words of self-esteem and self-worth, self-respect? Perfect. Okay, we focus on ourselves and we forget others, but and we focus also, we need to focus on how to get our strength and distribute it to others. And therefore, the same report of the UNDP says that 26 million of them are below 18. So this is the upbringing new generation, which is very sad. We have a pandemic, someone who's suffering from pandemic, he's been displaced, he left his house. I'm trying to put myself in his experience. I'm trying I'm I'm living in my house. I have this kind of self-worth, but we don't need to forget. And this is an invitation to everyone. This is to encourage everyone. We don't need to forget these people. So we share from this stage. I encourage you from the youth knowledge forum. It's called the youth. So you have the energy, you have the power, not because I'm motivating you, because I just want to give a motivational speak or a motivational speech, because you need to follow your humanity. You have the resources around you. You have, then you're a human capital. What does it mean by a human capital? You need to go and look for distributing what you can help with. Today, I'm the first person, and therefore acceptance is helping myself, accepting what happened. I cannot keep on remembering, like, look at my family. Maybe they should have given me a visa. Why we are, all of these things I accepted, but I do not approve it in the long term. Therefore, I accept, because this is your feeling. We were talking about a refugee or displaced people. We're talking about Latin Americans and or Africa. There are a lot of people who are suffering from Afghanistan, for instance. Third point is be there for yourself. Ease, ease it for yourself. Allow yourself to live the big emotions. For instance, maybe you have your anguish, or you have fear, anxiety, stress. Sometimes feel depressed. It's fine. Do not allow these emotions to over control you, being and doing, and not one of them alone. And this is what I call as the gift of the pandemic. We need to zoom in and we can say, here is the problem. We know how to gain benefit and how to look forward, especially the vulnerable people who needs our support, who needs our help, because we are a being, we're not only doing. From this aspect, uh, on the third stage, how to ease it to myself, how to be there for myself, be a friend of myself. I would say, where are my social skills? How did I lose my social skills during COVID? A young man or a young lady. If you did not know to be the best friend for yourself, how would you expect someone else to do that, whether if it's virtual or meeting? Would I need to wait for a pandemic to remember my basics? Fourth, you need to connect with supportive people.
have rules. They don't have to limit you on how to act. This person is respecting you for who you are, for your decisions, because he's in in alignment with himself. Because if he's doing these 4 steps, he will not go and manage people and be an authoritarian figure. If we see someone who's not suitable psychologically, and who's resting with himself, because someone who's missing something will not be able to give it to others. I'm counting on you, because we are today in a forum and a conference from this kind, because we have to mention how to support in a correct way, not managing and controlling people through money or other stuff, controlling people because they are in need of us. No, I have to strengthen the social and emotional links with the people who are already accepting themselves, and they are accepting that the life is a journey of self-healing. We have to develop ourselves all the time. But if someone who's sitting and he claims that to know everything, he will not be able to manage his life properly. But trust me, I will not count on you as a person that will provide support for me, because you are not up to the task. Because you will be hurting me if I count on such a person like you. I want to benefit and get benefits from people. We have to have a mutual relationship with people. If you think small, you will get small. If you think big, you will get big. So this connection, this is the real connection with people who knew how to pass and to manage their lives in a proper way without getting into denial. Nobody can say that I did not get affected with the COVID pandemic. Everybody got affected. People got affected in a manageable way, because they could count on themselves. They are not waiting for anybody to manage their lives, to give them support from everybody. Is a figure of this system. Who creates these systems that we live in? All of us, we create the systems. It's not coming from UFO who created this social system. We are the part of it. That's what I want to say. The interference, when we talk, the directed interference towards the youth is through schools. I want to remind you with the great idea, and hopefully that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed will listen to me, and he will ask me, where are you looking forward to build this school? And I want to build it for you. I want to show you how important it is, and the need for these responding schools is a necessity. I'm not waiting for the kids to pass through the PTSD or getting stressed or pressures or lacking focus or anything, and then we will notice what's happening because we are only thinking of them as kids. Their psychological health is very important, and the countermeasures, and if we do preventive measures, it's better than the treatment. Anybody who's like to go and do training and do apprenticeship in a school or in a business or whatever, there should be a focus, and there should be focusing on the psychological health of the employees. There could be a psychological a consultant in the schools, but what about the universities? At these 18 years of age and plus, they don't need any psychological support. We need to look for their psychological and social and mental health, and it should be a base in the universities. We should not wait until the problem happens and the sickness happens, and then we will try to find a solution. Another example, the health system is not prepared to manage have a pandemic like the coronavirus, and happened. There is lots of pandemics that happens in the previous decades, and we are today. Everybody is studying virology and uh, knows that we are more susceptible to the virus pandemics, and because we are in a globalized world, so we need to know more, we need to study more. Maybe at the times of Newton, he was able to use the apple to his benefit, and he came to the calculus, and he gravity, or and he was able to give a value to humankind. And at that time, no, not all people were able to benefit from the tools that they have and the ideas that they had. Every person was only able to manage his affairs and his family's affairs. But now we are privileged to communicate with everybody around the world. There could be people around the world that we can communicate with them and talk to them how to give the youth the place to be decision makers after the COVID, to be able to create a future, a better future, whether it's in training, whether education, in the health, and even in the sports centers. I was happy that I've seen trainers who are caring for the psychological health, not only the physical side of health, because sports is part of it is how you feel it, how you practice it, how you live it. So part of it is encouragement, the mental toughness and the resilience. Regardless of how I feel, I will have to go and to practice the sports and athleticism. People are starting to adapt this mentality, even on the online forums and all of the forums. Hopefully, they have this enriching experience. And I am very happy to be with you here today. And at the last minute, it's very important to me to ask if we manage success not by the cars, not by the real estate, not by our image and how our age or our fame. How beautiful it is if we measure our success by the level of the person who is sitting next to me is feeling safe when he's sitting next to me. Because when I have a self-value, high self-value, it's not possible but to feel safe, and for the people around me to feel safe. And if there's a fluctuation with this state, it because life is not sustainable. But if I know how to be supportive, how to be loving, how to be helping during this COVID, and after that, if I'm caring for myself and telling people how to care about themselves and how to overcome all of the obstacles and challenges happening to us and our friends and families, we deserve that. We deserve to take a space and to discuss and to be bold and to have a loud voice. I should not wait for a pandemic to open my eyes. I know this question is repeated, but I am insisting on this question. For sure, the last word is I should not wait for a pandemic to open my eyes on the purpose of my life. We are all going and passing a bridge from to, and we should know who we are and where we are going from, and we are going to, and our effect to the others. So luck is for the person who's always prepared. I'm saying good luck for everybody and going to the Q&A, but I please encourage you to be always prepared for everything happening in front of you. So this English saying is luck favors the prepared. Is if someone is prepared for anything and everything, they will have a better luck than others in facing challenges. That's an amazing speech, and the least I can say about it, it's inspiring, encouraging, and it's real. It's raw data. and you are delivering to us in simple words so many things that needs to be thought about. It's so deep. You are giving us simple yet complex words in simple words. This is one of the drivers that made me change and move from the education from its traditional way into content creating around the world. I just wrote 4 or 5 words. No, I said I want to talk. I want people to communicate with me one-to-one, spontaneous way to understand each other's, not like a lecture, traditional lecture, just to be real for ourselves. And there should not be like a paper that you should read from in order for the communication to be successful. When we're talking about the simple language, and there should not be any obstacles and hindrances between us. And we also we wanted to make this discussion in the Arabic language because we want to enrich this subject and want to give more data and information about this subject in the Arab world, because some people are thinking about the psychological hit as something to be embarrassed about. So and also people communicate with the youth, and that is great. Today, every day, we should be always focusing on the psychological health. I also I would like to go back to the beginnings when you were talking about these the comparison about your friend and how she told you that the COVID-19 was beneficial for her and she liked it. It benefited her life a lot. If you want to talk about this, she was talking about the COVID pandemic in a positive way, and she was very happy about it. And Google, if we Google the pandemic, it shows that it's very negative thing. But this example that you've given us, that people can take advantage, and it was shocking. It was shocking for so many people that they did not. People don't understand that it has its positive side into a big amount of people, and this shows you that the psychological health, and how we see the world in front of us is something very unique to every person. And I want to ask you about from this point: is it caring for psychological health? Is there like a single scale that suits everybody? No, there is a specific scale and measure. It doesn't fit everybody. So every person has his own scales and has his own measures and standards for psychological health. I have to see what are the hindrances and the obstacles that are stopping me from advancing. And every person has his own obstacles in a different way, in a different level. We have so many questions coming to us in the 3 languages. There are people who are asking, like for every person, sometimes one person is sending 10 questions. That's amazing. It shows that the people are thirsty for these subjects that touches their personal lives. Now we are doing this virtual discussion, and you talked about how we have to be always prepared. We have to be always perfect in front of people, and we don't want to show people that we are lacking something, and we are very fragile. We are, when we communicate with people, every person decides how to approach people, or how to present himself to people around him. Maybe because people sometimes they they present themselves in the wrong way, and we should be always be able to look past the appearance and to look at the qualities of the person. There are so many people who are looking for perfection, and the COVID came and it showed them their flaws, and it showed them that life is not perfect. From the Greek, the old Greek, the philosophers, because they were so calm, they were able to create philosophies. They would create uh, meanings for life. When they say, that's why they said you have to always check with yourself, and when you are check with yourself, and to make sure that uh, about your status quo, about your current situation. Am I making things bigger than they are? Am I trying to exaggerate things, or am I taking it? Uh, uh, am I taking it pessimistically, or uh, I have to always focus and manage and try to rectify all of my actions. The pandemic showed us all of our flaws, showed us our lackings. Where is your perfection after a pandemic? This is just an illusion of perfection, and we have to overcome it. Also about the virtual world, there's a question from Dr. Mustafa. How the virtual world affected and social media, the connection between the youth and the virtual world, and they are going to the virtual world as a haven, and they are disconnected from reality because they are not able uh, to 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 uh, to live the real life. If we are looking at the great industrial countries like Japan, like London, like UK and the US, there is a big percentage of the youth. They are counting on the virtual reality and virtual life, whether in gaming and their communication with others. If there are people who, if they are, whether even if they are like a minority, they are getting married to a virtual character in a game that they are playing, because reality is not the real reality to them. That's why they are living their virtual reality as the real reality. I have to put a spotlight on these issues. We should look at prevention. We should be proactive. We should be preventive to look one step ahead. Should I allow for the increase of this segment of people who will forget their position in real life and to become cyborgs, or half person and half machine? And there are trends that says in the futurism, who's being studied by the physicists, it's showing that the trend is going towards the cyborg life. And we can see, and you are hearing about the chips implants, and from Elon Musk, and the Scandinavian countries like this way, Sweden hasn't started this implementation of this chip. But there are lots of people who, and they are youth, during the COVID pandemic, who are working in a purposeful way, in a purposeful approach, and saying that from now, I want to keep my position in real life. People are still reading through paper books. Some people are sticking to being traditional and to be real into up to a certain level. If I look at Google, I can get some statistics who is a little bit accurate, more accurate than that I can say. But I want to finish with a word that technology and the virtual reality is a tool that serves you. You are not the server of this tool. And people are saying that the youth right now, they are always sitting on the mobile phones and they're not going outside. I don't accept this word. In the 80s, when Friends the gangs, when they are meeting, there was there was not these mobile phones. They were sitting and watching a movie and sitting together in certain for hours and not talking to each others. But the group awareness is to use these tools available, technologies, the virtual world, and to benefit from it to create an environment that helps humanity. I don't want to see. Do I want to see what's happening in Japan and other countries of the world? Yes, but do I have to follow it? No, I can make my choices. Yes, you are right. Part of us started to become a machine. Even if we don't have this chip inside of our bodies, we are starting to become like cyborgs. This machine that is sticking to us all day long, and we are using it in all of our communication, like the Google Translate, like the search engines, the social platforms, everything we are doing, there is an existing part for the technologies. Even when I'm talking to you right now, my mobile phone is next to me sitting. This is reality. Yes, as you say, it's not like a rejected thing and we have to abandon on technology. This machine is helping us in our lives. It's an enabler. We need to make it as an enabler. We should not make it as a terror for our life. It should be empowering us, and we should not be slaves to these machines. We should always count on our mind, our intellect. Our mind is not our brain. It's the conscious part of us. We are working together. Between the work between our minds and brains is for our benefits. We should take advantage of that. You were talking about the conscious. The psychological health is attracting lots of people's minds and attentions during the COVID and post-COVID. And in your words and your opinion, and we can say it was like an alarm. Sometimes you say we would like to thank. Some you say we would like to thank the pandemic because it opened our eyes and made us focus on psychological health, and the awareness started to spread and be common. And yes, your 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 ability to understand any subject and understanding the positive side and the negative side, this is the proper way. But if you see one side only, there's something wrong. So if we want to take an example as the coronavirus, how it affected us, all of the articles, if I'm not like a critical thinker, I only count on the negative side of this pandemic. Is there not even one person who benefited from this COVID-19? For example, my friend, the information is not coming only from Google. I can see some experiences from the people who are meeting with. Nobody made a meeting with my friend, for example, and how she benefited the from the coronavirus. We know that it affected the mental health of the youth for sure, but there are also positive side of and success stories. So I should look for more than one. So many sources of information. So I guide of the subject now, and so life is not black or white. You are not seeing life in a proper way. So back to your question, yes, if we have our open conscious and we are aware and we understand awareness, we will say that for sure there are some benefits for the COVID-19 pandemic as an alarm and a tool to open our eyes and to develop new strategies and to be able to create the communities in a proper way that we can defend ourselves in the future pandemics. It showed us our lacking of the health system in many countries, and we have to look for other solutions to create new policies for the health sector in many countries, because I have to be responsible for myself and the people around me. There are policies, if it's articulated in a proper way and it serves the people and if there's funding, it will make us in on the right track. I want to finish with a dilemma or a mind twister. Some people are saying that if we have so many billions to fund only space technology and the development of the space science, someone will say, what will we benefit from the space? Let's look at our world. Let's look at our education system, our health system. Let's put the funding on that. It's part of a dilemma with people. I do not want to mention their names, but yeah, let's think about the things that will affect us directly. Then if we think it's priorities, it's like the SDG for the UN. It's from 1 to 17 priorities. That's correct. You talked about policies, and they say if we want to change the mentality and the culture in a certain culture in a community, if it's to be successful, there has to be two approaches: up to down, which we talked about right now, and from down to top as individuals. And yes. This is for the changing of culture. For the health, mental and psychological health, I think it's the same way, right? Same approach. Yes, of course. They go, they go hand to hand. I did not say like in policy words what should be done. I was trying to be realistic. I was trying to create comprehensive solutions. The policies, the and the systems. Yes, of course, we talked about that, but we could not count on it on itself as the only solution. We should, right now, maybe we are 2,000 people. If us as 2,000 people who are attending here, the quarter of them who understood very well these takeaways, and they started to they made like a blog about it, it will help, because in the virtual world right now, and this is very beneficial because it can reach more people. Today we have people who are listening to us, and I would like to thank everybody who's listening to them, and I'm who's listening to me, and I'm humbled by that and by integrity. I'm coming like with a background of 17 years of teaching. I will not only count on Harvard or whatever other people's studies. I should be having my own value. I should be able to criticize and to think critically, and should be strong by myself to be able to manage my life. When I'm saying strong, I'm not saying that you should be shouting and should be pushing and pressing on the weak. No, the strong person is the one who's able to help himself and help others, whether it's from up to down to top, or top to down. This self-value, if when you say if we know how to master the self-value, and it's important to us, and how to evaluate and value ourselves, it will help us, as you said previously, into be compassionate with others. And you talked also about yes, try to reduce your expectations, try to increase the feasible stuff, and be able to accept whatever happens to you. Also, you talked about the immigrants, and you talked about 70 million here. Before this session, there was a session also was talking about the people with disabilities, and they are also part of the people who are being marginalized, such as the immigrants, the women, and the youth, and these segments that they are not the focus of the policies, if we want to express it this way. So the COVID came for these people that who are suffering, to make their suffering double. Also, other groups of people who have their stress, their depressions, and the ADHD and other problems. How in the environment, work environment, let's try to be compassionate with them. With this compassion, yes, with this compassion, when I try to feel good about myself, and this way I can ask the other people to be compassionate with me. There is difference between self-compassion and empathy. I cannot ask compassion and empathy from people if I cannot be if I cannot empathize with myself. And also the specifically the marginalized segments of people, they need more help. The help is not only particular to the food and water, because this is important. Of course, these are the basis of life. But when we talk about the youngsters and the youth in places like the camps and refugee camps, because they have to leave their houses and they have to evacuate because of the war or other situations, what's their need? Is it they need the educators to be prepared and trained to handle them through the drama therapy, the music therapy, and to be able to express themselves by music, by drawing, or other tools. How much funding can we get for these programs? The preparation and training of the families and the education to give them this chance to be together, even in the camps. If we see someone with a disability, or someone who's an orphan, who's someone who is a refugee in a conflict place, the funding from the policies are all of these tools are being, and these projects are being implemented. So many ads we see about the charity works and about the helping the refugees, and I'm not saying that they are wrong and they are not true, but I would like to say, what else do we need to give them? We need to give them attachment. We need to show them that we value their existence. We should provide them with safety. Maybe the place from the look of it does not feel safe, but we have to make it feel like a safe place. We need to be protective to them. We need to train the educators and the families how to create this safe environment, this empowering environment. The expression also, this is the second point. I should be allowed to express myself as a person in this situation. This point I want like to finish with. Someone has to have a purpose of his life. They should know why they are living and how they are living. If I care only about my outer appearance, it's good, okay, and okay, you have a perfect body, you have a perfect image, but what else can you provide to us? What else can you give us? What value, other value? So there should be something. A person like me, coming from Lebanon, a conflict area with lots of challenges, here I am asking the countries on the help they are providing. Is it for food and water, or there should be like funding for programs to show the children and the youth about their ability to express themselves and be who they are? Yes, That's amazing. And we should have a purpose, and the government also should have this higher purpose. We exceeded the time by 12 minutes, so we have to finish the session, but let's continue with this discussion. Let's not stop about the psychological health. And I would like to invite you, everybody, to follow Dr. Jana, because for the people who are not following her, if you can go to the social media, the videos and the fun, the entertaining education, you can see how you will benefit from it and how you will be activating the value of yourselves. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jana. Thank you for hosting me. I am very honored and humbled to be here with you, specifically because this is for the youth, because I believe in the youth, and it's not right if I teach the youth and I'm not believing in them. I would like to encourage them to transfer the images and the imaginations into life. I would like to thank you for inviting me once again. Thank you very much. We will continue our sessions with the Knowledge Youth Forum. Our next session is at 5 p.m. The timing of the Emirates, and the talks about the youth and achieving the sustainable development. It will be live also. Thank you very much, and to continue learning, to continue with the knowledge, and goodbye.